Welcome to the Referrals Podcast, the show designed to help everyone from the solopreneur to the Fortune 500 company win the referral game. If you want to build a company with an army of ambassadors and raving fans who speak highly of you and refer you willingly, you are in the right place. And now, here is your host, Michael J. Maher.
Welcome back to another episode of Referrals Podcast. Do we have a treat for you? Have you ever hesitated to do an event because you're afraid nobody would show up? Have you ever you're on the fence about whether you should do an event or not? Or have you done some events and you'd really like to get more referrals out of them? Well, if so, our guest today is going to solve that problem for you. I love it. Here's the thing is, before we jump into our interview today, a couple of quick things. One is a shout out. I've got to give a shout out to Sherry Hill. See, she recently joined the Referral Mastery Academy. You can check that out at referralmasteryacademy.com. I have read and reread 7L. I am currently participating in Sweet Dreams nightly sessions with quite a few people. I went into 30 mornings and have implemented just the silence. That's fine, right? One out of the habits. I actually pulled up a Bible verse this morning and just sat meditating on it. I did some deep breathing. I put on some music that was very soothing today. I walked for 45 minutes. So actually she's doing the E of savers as well. After my shower and my morning routine, I went right to work negotiating a home inspection contingency addendum. No matter how things turn out today, so far I feel calm. That's a great feeling. Thank you so much, Michael and Referco, for 30 mornings and Sweet Dreams. It's that's cool, right? So Sherry Hill, thank you for that excellent testimonial. I appreciate that. And one last thing is, if you're a listener of Referrals Podcast and you have not joined the Generosity Generation, it is a private Facebook group. Go to joingengen.com, J-O-I-N, join. Gengen, Gengen.com. Join Gengen.com. You can join the Generosity Generation today and get referrals today, because you know what? It is a extremely large, very hip, very boisterous, right? Very interactive, very engaged referral community. We'd love to have you. Please join us when you can. With no further ado, we've got to talk to our guest today because she's going to solve your event problems, whatever they may be. And our guest today is often called driven. When there is a challenge to be accomplished, she's your woman. She is passionate about serving her clients to the highest degree. And with 24 years of sales and marketing experience, she is able to get the job done and fast. She started in sales with Mary Kay. She earned 4 pink cars, and worked her way up to sales director during her 10-year career. Then 4 years ago, she got a real estate license, and she's been on the rise ever since. She just celebrated her 30th wedding anniversary. Happy anniversary. Has 3 children, 7 grandchildren, 1 great grandchild, loves to travel, and founded a nonprofit organization called the Butterfly Collective. Lynne is a realtor out of Metro Detroit, Michigan area, and Lynne Fischelli is our guest today on Referrals Podcast. Lynne, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Michael. I am excited and honored to be asked to be here.
Well, we're excited and honored to have you, because what I love is that with 24 years of marketing experience, you had never done something. You actually, for the first time, did an event. And I would love to dive into what that looked like, and tell me what your business looked like before you took event mastery class last fall.
So we're just referring to my real estate business, I'm presuming. So when I first started, I did all the things with Zillow and Realtor.com, and it took me about a year to see that I was actually in the red with them. And I'm like, forget this business. I'm not doing this. And I had been in the business world for a really long time, and I knew the power of networking and building your business on referrals. One of the things that wasn't mentioned, I didn't even think of, is my husband and I started a window cleaning company in 1994. And it was primarily him most of the time. I did the scheduling and the bookkeeping, but in 2012, it's when I left Mary Kay to help him grow his business. And that's really when I got into the networking and learning the power of a referral. So I built my business on referrals because of all the people that I knew prior. But learning about events has been a game changer for me. So I have this huge network of people, and I'm sorry, I do have Italian in me, so I talk with my hands a lot.
It's all good. It's all good. And I'll tell you, that's what I love about this is, I mean, you did really well with Mary Kay, and that's almost all referrals, right? Yeah. I mean, it's all word of mouth. And then, the window cleaning business with your husband, that's almost all referrals. I mean, if you do a good job with cleaning the outside, like at our house, if you clean the windows here and you do a good job, I'm going to go post in the HOA group and you're going to have 12 more jobs, right? I mean, that's just how it works. So It's one of those where you had familiarity with referrals, but in the real estate world, you were still kind of like building your referral business, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Yep. And so you started networking. What did you discover with like networking?
I was getting referrals, but not as many as I wanted. Not my business. My goal with our business, my real estate business, is so that my husband can retire. He had an injury last year, and so he physically can't do the work anymore. And I love to travel and I love working for myself. So, I want to build my business the way I want it to look. And I feel my heart is about giving back, and relationships and 7L and events it enables me to do that at a much, to connect with people on a much higher level.
Yeah. So, all right. So let's talk about, what was your first ever event that we planned an event mastery class for the people that are maybe newer to the podcast and Refer Co. and what we do. We teach a class called Event Mastery. I actually hold people's hands through the process for 7 weeks, literally a class on Monday or Tuesday, and then a class on Friday. And the Friday is for questions and accountability. And the Monday or Tuesday, the first class is all right, this is what you need to get done this week. So for 7 weeks, I go through, all right, 7 weeks out, you need to do the planning sequence. And then week 6, 5, 4, 3, we really need to be in the invitation sequence. And then we're in the confirmation sequence. And then we have the event, and I help you like with the event and the event sequence. And then of course, the last sequence in Event Mastery is the follow-up sequence. And I talk about the 5 groups of people that you really need to follow up with. And Lynne was in this class this past fall. And I'm very curious. In fact, I'm not sure if I know what your first ever event was. What did you do for your first event?
So I met another lender who actually introduced me to 7L and your convention that you do in the fall. I took that in 2020. I loved everything about it. And from that, I learned about the events and how important it is. And so I did my very first event was without any training. I love throwing events. Like, I'm a high energy kind of person, and events are my thing. And I'm like, I am on board. I want to do this. So I held I Love You a Latte. And I did it in the fall. I did it at a local coffee shop. I didn't know about, Top Yap and all of that then. So I just invited my past clients, people that are in my pipeline, people that have supported me. And we had 23 people there. So I was pretty happy with that. I think my guest list was maybe around 40 to begin, to start with.
Yeah. And 23 out of 40 is terrific. 23 at your first event. And now, was this before Event Mastery class, or was this from what you learned? Okay, so this is you learned it at the 2020 Referral Mastery Summit that, you know what, I need to be doing this. And then between 2020 and 2022, you had an I Love You Latte event, invited 40 people and got 23, right?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
so great turnout. And by the way, for those, Top Yap, All Yap are terms we use in 7L quite a bit. She said Top Yap, that is the yearly ambassador program for your top people, your best referral sources, your highest paying clientele, that kind of thing. And that's for the top people in your database, because the top people deserve more, quite honestly. And then there's the All Yap, which is your yearly appreciation plan for everyone. And notice the acronyms: yearly ambassador program is YAP, and yearly appreciation plan is YAP. And the All YAP is for everyone, a very public event, very invite everyone event. So I love that. So congratulations on the 23. That's fantastic. That's a great turnout.
Thank you. Thank you. So so I did the invite, what I knew to do. I did. I had a great turnout. I feel like it wasn't the things that I did, but more the person that I am that got those people there. Where I dropped the ball was, yesterday in the mastermind, the fortune is in the follow-up. I dropped the ball.
Well, you really didn't know about it a lot, right? I mean, because
didn't.
you hadn't taken Event Mastery class. So really you were throwing an event, honestly, like 99% of the people, when they throw an event. They just, they do what it takes to hopefully get some people there. And then they have the event, and they're happy about the event, and they're also a little exhausted after the event. Right. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, that's the way it is. They don't realize that there's so much more to it, and so many more opportunities with the event. And you kind of learned that over the last fall, right?
Yep, for sure.
Did you get any referrals at the first event?
I did. I got 3.
Okay.
Very for good. Myself. And I know I got some. I haven't tracked it. It's on my list of things to do. I can't remember, but I think there was 3 or 4 for my lender, who was my sponsor. That event I had 3 sponsors at.
Okay.
And I think the insurance person also got a couple.
So you had an insurance agent, mortgage professional, and yourself who threw this I Love You Latte, and this is somewhere in 2021, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. It was fall of 21. Before I took the, actually, it might have been before the convention. It was between 20 and 21. I did it. And then I went to the second convention and learned more. And I don't know, sometimes you got to hear things more than once to actually sink in. And with the 2021 convention, I was so doggone excited about all of it. I signed up for Catalyst. I didn't have the money to sign up for Catalyst because my husband hasn't been working, and I just trusted that God would provide. Best decision I've made is Catalyst, and then all of the things that you do for us with, the event mastery, and I love it. Like, I want to do all of the things, but I just can't yet.
Yeah, just one thing at a time, right? Let's focus on what's next. And so, all right. So then fast forward to the fall of 2021 and our fall event mastery. So we do event mastery in the spring, we do it in the summer, and we do it in the fall, right? So we help people do their 3 events that they should be doing. So we did event mastery in the fall after Referral Mastery Summit. You signed up for that. You got into it. So what event did you do in the fall? Like, we had 300 people doing Pi Days, because so we helped them do Pi Days. I don't think you did a Pi Day, right? Did you do a Pi Day with your first one?
No. So my son lives in South Carolina, and we travel for the week of Thanksgiving and the week after. So I've always delivered cookies to all of my clients. And one of the local breweries here was having an event to support my nonprofit. And I asked if I could partner with her. And so I was able to invite people to attend that event. So we, our charity is always my charity. And I have a program, it's called an adoptive family program, where businesses will sponsor families and buy Christmas gifts for the children. And at my cookie event, people brought stocking stuffers for these families. And we had a huge, huge basket full of stocking stuffers. And then everybody that came, I bought their first drink and gave them cookies. And it was wonderful. I had a ton of people.
I was going to say, how many do you think you had to this event?
About 32, because she didn't want me to invite more than 50. She was afraid that we'd have too many people.
Yeah, that's okay. So 32, and you did what was the name of the event? It wasn't beer and cookies, was it? Because that's all you need. I'm just telling you that.
I know, right? Well, we partnered with her, so she had already named it Sip and Shop.
Okay.
So she had like a bunch of vendors there, and people could do some Christmas shopping, and so we just went with that. And
I love it. Okay, so Sip and Shop. All right, so you had 32 people that attended. You bought their first drink. You also gave them cookies, and that is I love that element of this, because there's this problem in real estate, in my opinion, of, we already in some cases become unpaid tourist guides, right? If we drive them around, show them houses, then they don't buy, we're unpaid tourist guides, essentially, right? Hopefully they end up buyers, and hopefully they end up buying, but sometimes they don't. Well, we also don't want to be unpaid delivery drivers, right? And that's what it is when we deliver cookies, or we deliver, whatever it may be, to people's houses and things like that. It's like, well, if you have to deliver it and they didn't ask for it, do they really want it? And does it really have value? But the thing that I love about what you did is you had this event, and they came to you, and they got the cookies, and they got the beer, and they got the networking, right? Yeah. So it was of enormous value to them, to the point where they would drive to you to do it. And you got a chance where, if you're delivering them, you only have a chance maybe with a part of them to even have a conversation. But when they come to you, it's an event. So not only do they get to converse with you and you get to converse with them, they get to converse with other people who like you and know you and trust you and refer you, right? So many benefits to kind of reversing that whole concept of delivering it or taking it out. It's much more attractive if they're coming towards you, right?
Attract, not chase. Love it.
Yeah. So I mean, I got to go bottom line with it. How did you do from a referral aspect from the 32 that came?
Again, I'm so bad at tracking. I have a sticky note right there that says track my March results.
There you go.
But I will say that we did get some. My lender got a few. I only had 2 sponsors, so it was my lender and my insurance person for this one. I want to say the insurance person got maybe 5 referrals, and the lender 3 or 4, and myself, I believe I got 8 that time.
Yeah. I remember you reporting at our final session that you had gotten 8 referrals. I mean, out of 32 people, so 25% of them essentially gave you a referral. And I'm guessing that some of those were people who gave you multiple referrals. But I mean, really, your first ever event through Event Master, you got 8 referrals, right? And that wasn't even the best in class, which was interesting, right? I mean, so it was like, 8 referrals. Is there an update on those 8?
So with real estate, it sometimes takes a while to cultivate. I did follow up with all of them, kind of where they're at. Two of them are listing leads. Both of them were not quite ready. One of them, and I will say this, I invited people also that I want to start building relationships with. And some of these people, because I'm in so many other networking groups and so many know other agents, I want to build relationship with them. But knowing that they're in another group with another agent, I really didn't think that I would be their first choice. And two of them talked to me personally and said, when I'm ready, you're my girl. And I would have never in 100 years guessed that.
I think that's the power of the event, right? Is when they hear other people talking positively about you, it becomes that like plus like equals two loves equation, right? Oh, you like her too? Oh, you like her too? And it's like, oh, well, I need to like her too, right? And then those three people turn around when they walk away, they all love you. They're ready to refer you even more. And I love that with that one event. But here's the thing, if you're not referable, none of this works, right? I mean, you got to be referable in the first place, and you've established yourself as somebody that's coming from a loving, generous, and appreciative, place. So, any other outcomes from that sip and shop event?
Not real. I mean, just for me, it's about building the relationships and being top of mind. So I did follow up with all of those this time. And I do have, a list of follow-up people from all of that. And just getting, I like I said, I love throwing a party. So this is so me on so many levels. I've done a book club where we have one more week.
All right, hold a second. All right. So with the sip and shop, I'm going to do a summary of that, and then we'll talk about the next event. Because one of the reasons that I really wanted to have you on Referrals Podcast, and others wanted to hear what you had to say on Referrals Podcast, was because you took the sip and shop and it set you on fire. And that's what I want to talk about next, is like you have become like an event machine. So I think the first thing is let's wrap up the sip and shop. So you invited 50 people, you got 32 people who attended. Some of them were almost strangers or a dotted line connection. Two of those said, you're my gal when I'm going to list. And these were people that maybe were kind of ancillary in the first place. And then you got 6 other referrals that are potential buyers. You had sponsors who offset the cost. How much did you end up paying that day on the sip and shop? Like, what was your investment?
Very little. I want to say under $200.
Yeah. So less than $200, and everybody's now, their ears are perked up. Like, how the heck did you do that? But we're not done yet. So not only that, but you also filled up a huge box for stocking stuffers for many families as part of the Adopt a Family Christmas gifts, right? So I would say that was a really successful event, and they came to you and you got rid of the cookies so that you didn't have to eat them all, which is what I would have done, right? So even better, good news, right? And then, all right, so you had a success, and I'm telling you, your joy was palatable in event mastery. Like, you were like, something happened to Lynne. And then it was like, we were talking, all right, your next event needs to be in February or March. And you're like, heck with that. I'm doing an event. And like, you literally did an event the next month, right?
After my sip and shop, my book club started.
Yeah.
Which I didn't really count as an event. I mean, I know you guys are saying it as an event, but my whole purpose of doing that was, my heart is to help people. Mm-hmm. And I saw it as an opportunity to share what I am learning with people that are like-minded and have the same heart as me, to help them grow and be successful. And that was my whole purpose for doing it.
And we have this philosophy in the generosity generation that is each one teach one, because when one person teaches another, two people are learning. So when you did the book club and when you're teaching other people, what happens is you have to learn it even better and even more so that you can be the leader, so that you can explain things in the book club. So was your book club for realtors or was it for business owners? Who was in your book club?
So I want to give a shout out to Angela Gibbons because she was my coach.
Yes.
She actually did the teaching, put a lot of time and love into it. So I just want to say that I appreciate her. No, I was the only realtor. These were, well, no, that's not true. My son, who is in South Carolina, and his wife are their brokerage. So I invited both of them to be a part of it. My son is learning 7L as well and loving it, which makes my heart very, very happy. And I had my real estate or my insurance person who has sponsored everything that I've done so far, whether it be the Butterfly Collective or 7L event.
Love it.
He's amazing. A therapist, a landscaping company, female-owned landscaping company. Oh my goodness, a person that helps you work out. Oh my gosh.
Like a personal trainer.
Yes.
Right?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. And she specializes with women that are over 40. I had a business owner for a med spa. So there was quite a few. I had originally 12 people.
Oh, good.
That said yes, they would. Oh, I had also had a credit repair person. And so when we ended, we still had 10.
Yeah,
so that was pretty awesome.
That's really good. All right. And so, I got to ask, was 7L the book?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you did a book club on 7L. And what were a couple of the ahas from the crew that were kind of seeing 7L for the first time?
Well, so obviously the notes, I've seen, a couple of them saying that they're doing notes. I've become a big note writer myself. I'm getting sponsors for my next events from my book club.
Of course.
Another person that was in there was a financial planner. He is in my Tuesday morning networking group. So it's like a BNI, but it's with the chamber.
Okay.
Local chamber.
Yep.
And I did a one-on-one with him. He invited me to come to his office to speak to all of his financial planners and insurance people.
Mm-hmm.
And then I did that. I met them, but when
whole thing, right? That's another thing, right? That's another event, right? I mean, so what did you speak about? I'm just genuinely curious, right? And just so everybody knows, like, Lynne and I haven't had this conversation before. We're just having a conversation here with all of you getting the opportunity to look in. But I have to tell you, like, this is how it works. Is she's overcome inertia and she's now in momentum with referrals and networking conversations and people in general. Like, she's in momentum with the world, right? Especially the world of business. So what happens is you do this and then you do something else, like the book club. And then from the book club, this other opportunity pops up, the networking group, and this other opportunity pops up, which is speaking at the financial planners, right? And like all these opportunities pop up. But what's very cool about this is that there's what we call like they events, which would be the breakfast club for the chamber and the financial planner. But the beauty of this is that Lynne has like me events, right? You want to go they events to we events to me events, right? We want to get people to come to our events that we're hosting, right? So it's like it all comes full circle, right? She goes to the financial planner, she speaks there, she invites them to her me event, her event, and and she gets to grow her network over time and with very powerful people. So that's what I love about this is some people are like, well, I'm following this. It's like, well, you know what? When somebody's a driver, it's not a straight line, right? I mean, I don't know if you guys have seen that graphic where people think that success is this straight line. but it really looks like, it looks like this, right? And sometimes backwards and going forwards. So, I think that's the big thing that I love about this is that, you're creating your own opportunities and you're not saying no, you're saying yes to the opportunity and seeing what's happening. So, I'm genuinely curious about all of it because there's little nuggets that sometimes you and I, Lynn, may take for granted, but they're the little things that make the big difference. And the listeners and the viewers of this need to see that and need to be ready to capture that moment and that opportunity when it pops up, So you spoke to the financial planners. Did you speak about notes or what did you speak about?
No, he invited me in to talk about real estate.
Okay.
And so it was just a really open conversation. I also had the opportunity to talk about my my nonprofit to them. And I obviously I'm of the belief that if you bring food, they will come.
Mm-hmm.
So I provided lunch. And I just, I did a drawing. It was 2 days before my event, I believe. And so I bought a bottle of champagne, 2 bottles of champagne, and I just did a drawing. So I got all of their business cards. And then after I got them, I said, would you like my card? And everybody raised their hand.
That's awesome.
So I gave them my card. Then later
now hold a second, Lynn. Here's the other thing, right? I mean, and that little subtle thing is going to pass over the head of probably 50% of our listeners is you didn't stand up and then hand out your cards and say, I want to be your girl for real estate, right? You didn't do that. No. You led with a charitable heart with your charity. You led with some education around real estate, and you did a drawing, which had them give you their cards. And you know what? If you said, hey, do you want my card? And like only 1 or 2 wanted the card, you would give the card to the 1 or 2. And it's one of those where everything would have been fine. But because of the process, because of the generosity, right? Giving first, they all wanted it because they wanted to know more of you. They want more of what you got, which is love, generosity, and appreciation, right? I mean, they're like, they're attracted to that. And, there's a lesson in the process that you had. I mean, Lynn, there's programs out there that talk about going to a Starbucks line and giving everybody in line your card. I mean, like, what good does that do?
Yeah.
I mean, it's bothersome and distractive and interruptive, and maybe just downright rude. So it's one of those where what a great approach that you took to that,
Thank you.
Yeah. So you got the cards, you followed up. A couple of the people won a bottle of champagne, which is fantastic. How many events have you had now as we fast forward 3 months, 4 months forward? How many events have you had? And let's call the book club an event, even though you didn't say it was, but if there's more than 2 people there, it's an event. So, they say, right? 1, what is it? 1 is something, 2 is a couple, and 3 is a crowd, right? So 3 is a crowd, 3 is a crowd. What kind of things are crowds at? Events. So 3 is an event. So you had, lots of things you got going, Sip and Shop, and then the book club, right? And then what other events have you had?
So I strategically, even though when you said in your one mastermind that do an event in February, we had I had a wedding in February. I had people from out of town. It was overwhelming. I did not see how I could do it, but you said you need to do an event in February. So I made it happen. I did another I Love You a Latte, and I strategically placed it during my book club where the book club was still going, and I invited all of them so they could see what a 7L event was.
Smart.
My son went. He came early just so that he could go. And I would say half of the book club came. So, and my sponsor, I only had one sponsor at that event. And again, it was my insurance guy. And at that event, he got more referrals than he's gotten before, but we were very strategic about what we did. So
What did you do?
He has this program called Quotes for a Cause. And so he will give $25 for every quote that he can give to people that come to this event to support the Butterfly Collective.
Yeah.
And so we did our drawings for, our prizes, but then I told everybody, let Clint give you a quote. It's no obligation. He's not high pressure. He will give $25 to the Butterfly Collective. And I had a separate form for those people to fill out. And so he got 9 referrals.
That is awesome. And so I don't know how long you've been in Gen, but about 7-8 years ago, we had an insurance agent that I was coaching, and we did the Quotes for a Cause, and it was like 20 or 50 bucks that would be donated for each quote. But I've never heard it and it just like, why the heck didn't we talk about that then? But what I love about this is that it was your charity that was getting the donations, and with the quotes for the charity, it was just a general charity. But what a great idea is that the insurance agent would, give money, right, for every quote to the charity of the event, whatever event it is, right? So if I had an event for Habitat for Humanity, my insurance agent would just say, hey, I'm going to give $25 for every quote I do to the cause, which is Habitat for Humanity. So and here's the beauty of what he did that worked really well that people need to see here is psychologically, you had a vested interest times 2 in the results of how he did, right? So the first vested result was he's a sponsor of your event. You want him to do well.
Yep.
But the second one is it's your charity. So you're going to promote it harder and better because you know the great work that your charity does. I absolutely love like how that was done. That was beautiful. Good stuff. Why do you call your charity the Butterfly Collective, if I can ask?
So we financially and emotionally support survivors of domestic violence. There's many things that we do, and the butterfly represents transformation.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I wondered if it had a tie to the transformation, right? The transformation from a caterpillar to a butterfly, and the symbolism that is there with a butterfly of transformation. I love that. A lot of people don't know this, but I actually had a butterfly, actually a caterpillar and a butterfly in the first edition of 7L when I first wrote it. And Rick would look out the window and see the caterpillar, right? And he would see, and then he was like, where'd the caterpillar go? And then like a while later, he would see the big giant monarch butterfly after he transformed, right? Because chapter 9 is transformation. He had to transform as a person to be worthy of Michelle and to generate and attract business. And so I had that in there as symbolism, but I had to cut, right? You gotta try to make the story as lean and mean as possible, I guess. And the butterfly never made it, but I was like, oh man, I would have loved the symbolism. Do what?
You just gave me chills.
Well,
that's a really awesome. I know it's there now, so.
Yeah. And what's funny is it's like now you go back and read 7L, like there's these times in his office, like when he wrote the bad handwritten note, right? So he wrote them, but then the coach is like yelling at him because he forgot a couple of things, right? But it's like when he's writing the note, he looks out the window, right, in his office. And you'll know that there was a paragraph there about, a caterpillar. So
anyway, it again, I'll insert.
Yeah. So, all right. So that went well. And you did your event in February. So how have you had an event? I mean, that was last month. So I'm guessing you haven't had any other events.
No, but I am in the process of.
Let's talk. What do you got going?
So I'm doing a Nacho Average happy hour on Cinco de Mayo.
Oh, wow. Nacho average happy hour,
average
the
happy hour.
Tommy Sandvik invention within the generosity generation. And
Yep.
you're going to do it on Cinco de Mayo, right? So that's
Yep.
May 5th for the non-Spanish speakers.
Yep.
And what are you going to do?
Same thing, buy a drink for everyone. This is going to be my first like real all yap.
Okay.
So I'm going to be inviting a whole lot of people.
Yeah.
The restaurant is doing special nachos for us, which they have great food. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
Of course, we'll do the drawings, support my charity. We actually have with my charity, we've been helping women that are coming out of shelter. So sometimes when they come out of shelter and they're moving into another home, that home isn't ready yet.
Mm-hmm.
So we put them up for sometimes a couple of months. And they don't have, when they move into the home, there's literally nothing. There's no furniture. It's an empty shell. And so one of the things that we spend hundreds of dollars on is things like shampoo and toothpaste and toothbrushes. So this event, we're going to do a drive for all of those things.
I love it. I love it. I love it. That is phenomenal. Have you, and I know there's just conversation, but have you talked to Toral Chauffeur White out of Washington? Mm-hmm. Remind me to put the two of you in touch. She did like a feminine hygiene drive that was just absolutely over the top. And she did really well with it. Well, I think it'd be a great addition to the Butterfly Collective. Just, you're going to add, products in general, right? So toiletries, if you will. Mm-hmm. So, I think she could help you with that, and that'd be great. And she's also an aficionado of events, of course. So that I think that'd be fun. You have to do a name badge that says Nacho Average Agent on it. You got to do it. I'm just telling you. I love it. You got to do it. And then have your insurance have a Nacho Average insurance agent, right? All your sponsors need to get cool little fun name badges.
Yeah.
Right?
So let's talk about sponsors real quick.
Yeah.
I have 6 sponsors for this event.
And it's May, right? The event is not even till May. Yeah.
Yep. It's probably not going to cost me anything because I have 6 sponsors for this event.
Yep.
And people, if you do an event and you invite people to attend them and they see what they're about, they want to be a part of it. So the first event, I hear people message me all the time and they ask me questions from Gen. And the 2 big things that I hear that they're afraid of is, what if no one comes? Mm-hmm. And how do you get sponsors? And I just ask people to be a sponsor. But what makes you sponsoring my event better than any other event that you can sponsor is that you actually get to meet the people. Your name is just not on a board. You're going to meet people. They're going to fill out a referral form that's going to say they need your services, and I'm going to give you their names and numbers. It doesn't get any better than that.
I'm telling you, it's a pretty slick system. I mean, I called it smooth selling for years because it was just like so easy. And that's the thing about sponsors. They think, and it's not really sponsored. Like, we're talking sponsors, but you and I, we really don't call them sponsors. We call them partners.
Yeah.
Because it really is a partnering process. Here's the thing. What would those partners pay for leads, right? They would pay a lot for leads. And the difference is that with most events, they pay the money, they get a booth, and they stand there and they wave, and it's up to them to generate the business. But with our events, we're generating the business for them. So we're the Zillow, we're the lead generator, but it's not leads because they're referrals, because they've actually met them and we've met them. So it just, and like you said, they walked out with like 8 or 9 referrals at your last event. And, these are referrals. These are not, leads. And So they would have given the money just to be a part of it and have the opportunity. But here they are, they have documented referrals from the event. It doesn't get any better than that.
Mm-mm. Nope.
They can track their investment. I'm guessing your insurance agent has made a lot more than he's invested in these events from your events. Isn't that the greatest thing in the world?
It
Like,
is.
that's so beautiful. And you were talking about that you've zero based this event, and that's not the goal, right? The goal is to make it a profit center. We talked about Toral earlier. At 1 year, she made $22,000 in profit on her events. No, not zero base. She didn't just have them paid. She didn't make 22,000 just in sponsors. That was what was left over after she paid all for all the events. So that's, and some people might go, well, that's not right. And it's like, no, you're right. She should have made more, because she was generating referrals for all of her sponsors. And she, like, an endorsement of Lynne Fischelli to Lynne Fischelli's network, what's that worth? It's worth thousands upon thousands of dollars. It's priceless, literally. So I love it. I think the whole fear of sponsors, fear of partnerships, hopefully we can overcome that in Event Mastery for those that, because we do spend an entire week on sponsor and partner generation. But it's one of those where it's like you said, just run the system and sponsors will be attracted to it.
Mm-hmm.
So kudos to you. Nacho Average. And by the way, I love you got to do Nacho Average agent, Nacho Average, like,
I'm definitely doing it.
All those name badges. And then your Butterfly Collective is like Nacho Average charity, right? So just make the whole thing Nacho Average, and you can even use it in your presentation several times. Okay. So that's what's next is the Cinco de Mayo event. And
well, no, that's not what's next. That was the next thing that I planned. But
okay,
like you said, I'm on the event train.
Yeah, you're on fire. That girl is little Katy Perry reference. All right.
Yes. So I am doing I'm calling it the Generosity Lunch Club. Love could work too. Yeah. But what we're doing is, so I've invited the people that have graduated from my book club, but I'm also reaching out to people that I want to bring into my next book club, which I probably will start in about 2 months. And we're getting together once a month for lunch, and the requirement is everybody has to tip $20 more than they would their normal bill. Yeah. And it's just a great place to network and get to know each other. Also to keep the relationships going that were built in the book club, because that happened too. So that's technically my next event, because that's on April 8th is my first one. Yeah,
I'm telling you, there's nothing like, I know it went on fire a little bit this holidays, but that's something that's been near and dear to my heart for over a decade and almost 2 decades is the, we call the tip to inspire performance, right? We call it like the super tip. And, Star Power, we'd go out to eat, and then I would pay for dinner. And then I would say, but I want everybody here to chip in what dinner would have been for the tip. Right. Okay. And so, my bill would be $1,400 or whatever it was. And the server would get like $1,000 tip. And I mean, you would have, like tears are shed. And like it's been, I think we've probably done 100 of those over the course of the last 20 years. And Lynn, I'm telling you, if there's a way to have somebody video when you do that and then send the video to the person who is a recipient, just like that. We've had people like they were pre-suicidal. I'm not even kidding, who were like, this restores my whole thought of humanity. And like, there is a God, there is, it's one of those where I absolutely love what you're doing with this monthly lunch. I love it. That's a fan, and 20 is so reasonable and so doable. And yet, if you have 10 of you, right? If you have 15 of you, I mean, that's, that's a difference maker tip for whoever it is,
Mhm.
I'm telling you, it's just, now that you're saying, I'm kind of like, I'm welling up just a little bit, just thinking about the waiters and waitresses that we've given that to and their reactions. It's just like, I love that you're doing that. I
We
love
did
it.
it at Christmas. So this networking group that I'm in on Tuesday, I suggested that we go to dinner, only we all tipped $100. And there were 14 of us that went. And she was a college student.
Oh, jeez.
Her mouth just dropped. Like she was speechless, and she didn't, I mean, she took it and she walked away, and then she came back and she had her managers and a couple other of the wait staff with her. And I mean, you could tell it really made a difference. And it's Christmas time. So, she's struggling.
Yeah, well, maybe. I mean, yeah. But the thing about it though is if you think about like scholarships, there's $500 scholarships and there's $1,000 scholarships, and they're $1,000 for the whole semester. Well, that 1,400, I mean, that's the greatest scholarship you could ever give a college student, because they can spend it any way they want it, and it's 1,400 right then and now. I just love it. I'm telling you. And I encourage all the Referrals podcast listeners and viewers to do that once in the next, month, and then tell us about it. Podcast@referco.com, or you can, send me an email at michael@referco.com and just tell me about your experience. And it doesn't have to be $100 a person, and it doesn't have to be around the holidays. That's the big thing. It's just like, we were doing this in July in Arizona, right? And it was super hot, but it was super cool to do what we were doing. So I hope everybody takes this one thing and incorporates it. The one thing I will say is make sure you get agreements from the people before they go to lunch, right? That this is what you're going to do. It does make it a little bit easier. Like in my case, I was buying their dinner, which was probably less than the tip or more than the tip already. So they were happy to do it, but this is such a great gesture. I hope more people do it and run with it. I really do. So you got a lot of things going on.
Mm-hmm.
So, if somebody were listening to this and they were considering event mastery class, right? And they were thinking about going to eventmastery.com and checking out what we do in that, like what words of wisdom or advice would you give them?
Oh my goodness, just do it. Because I mean, you can, it doesn't cost a lot of money. And what you are going to learn is how to execute the entire thing. And all of it is important, not just having people there, but the invite. Like I do things a little bit different than you do, but I got what you taught me and just tweaked it a little bit for my personality. So I do send a save the date. I do that via text message, but just every little step that you've written out for us to do is crucial to getting people to attend. And then the follow-up part of it, I mean, if you're not going to follow up, don't do the event. I mean, you're still going to get results from that, but the follow-up is where the fortune is, right?
That's right. The energy is in the event, the power is in the invitation, and the fortune is in the follow-up, right?
And let's talk about that, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
I know we're going on here a little bit long.
No,
So
all good.
I didn't really understand the power is in the invite until I started to do it. And there were people that couldn't come, but were very, very touched by me reaching out to them and asking them to attend my event personally. And everybody responded, either with a yes or a no. But I'm also getting referrals from people that I haven't seen just because I'm reaching out to them.
The power is in the invitation.
Yes,
right?
it
The
is.
power is in the invite. it's a communication. It's a conversation that's naturally attractive. And what's funny is that like when you're driven, like Lynn and I are, and have some success and things like that, is the communication becomes even more crucial and more important and more wanted, because like we're busy, and getting invited to something by us is a really, like, it means something. It's more important, just because the perception is that it's harder to get into the circle. It's harder to, it's worth the time for me to call and invite somebody. It's worth the time for Lynn to call and invite somebody. It's worth that time. And so the people really appreciate your time. The busier you are, the more successful you are, the more they appreciate your time. And if you take the time to invite them, it's attractive and influential and valuable. Just the invite is that way. So it's all good. I love it. I appreciate it. And Lynn, none of this takes place without implementation. The thing about it is, we can all teach until we're blue in the face, but if somebody doesn't implement, then it doesn't do any good. And, the finest compliment to a teacher is implementation. And you did that in spades. And that's what I love about the 7L system, is it's not do this event or do this event or use this charity word. It's do your own event, but we're going to give you the structure and the spine for the event so that you can maximize it, for your own good, for your partner's good, for your charity's good, and so on and so forth. So I just want to say thank you so much for sharing and doing what you're doing and the good that you're doing in the world. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. It's my honor to be a part of 7L. And like I posted today, it has enabled me to take what's important to me, which is to spread love and kindness in the world, and execute it 100 times more than I was able to do on my own. So I am so grateful to you and Tommy and Angela and all of you for pouring into me and all of us.
Well, we pour into the implementers more than we pour into anything. And that's the truth, right? You give me an ounce of interest, I'll give you a ton of love. And that's my mantra, right? Just give me an ounce of interest, right? Give me an ounce of implementation, and I'm going to give you a ton of love so that you can do whatever you want to do better. So I appreciate it. Thank you so much for being a guest here today on Referrals Podcast, Lynn.
Thank you, Michael.
Viewers, listeners, I'm telling you right now, if you're not convinced by now to check out eventmastery.com or eventmasteryclass.com, I can't do anything more for you. I'm just saying, right? I'm going to hold your hand for 7 weeks, and I'm going to help you run your next event. Literally help you every single week for 7 weeks. Check it out at eventmastery.com or eventmasteryclass.com. At the very least, check us out at joingengen.com. We appreciate you. We love you. We'll see you on the next episode of Referrals Podcast.